Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
Can we also, like, I so appreciate what you're saying, and I don't want to seem anti the medical side at all, because I've seen that really help people. But can we also talk for just a minute about
Diet and
reducing, diet and
sugar.
reducing pesticides?
Yes.
Yeah, sugar and pesticides.
Well, there's another question I noticed that was asking about, is there any connection between IBS and autism? I'm happy to go into this altogether. So, but first, for ADHD, we're looking at the extreme things that you see with ADHD, very connected to sugar intake. So make sure that your child is not ingesting sugar. I mean, sugar has absolutely no benefit to the human being whatsoever. So you can eliminate sugar. And the other thing is, of course, food dyes. Food dyes tend to produce a lot of hyperactivity in our kids as well. And now to go on to my, everybody, buckle in, because I'm going to start talking about our pesticides and the situation that we have in this country, which is very, very concerning. And it's not only in the US, but in the US, it's pretty bad. And we haven't started turning things around yet, unfortunately. So a lot of you will remember that, that there was this really big lawsuit with Roundup. Remember that? Roundup was the primary form of pesticide that was being sprayed on everything, all of our crops, our main crops particularly. And of course, their company was then later sued, which was very shocking because thousands of people were trying to sue. But then finally, this one gentleman who was a greenskeeper managed to get his lawsuit to a jury. And of course, he won millions. And then after that, many, many, many others sued. And so Roundup kind of gradually became less the company actually started to go down. And everyone will be shocked to know that the company was then purchased by Bayer, which is a German pharmaceutical company. So let's just start with that. Currently, what happens to 90% of the agriculture in the United States is controlled by a German pharmaceutical company. So let's just start there. And pharmaceutical companies, and I'm not necessarily pointing the finger here, but pharmaceutical companies obviously have an incentive for everyone to get sick, because then they can actually sell us more pharmaceuticals. So what is happening with the pesticides is that these pesticides that are on our main crops are not necessarily even, it's not possible for us right now to eliminate these pesticides anymore, because they're water soluble and they've already gone into the water source. And so it's everywhere. It's in our water, it's in our food, it's in all of the seeds that are manufactured are GMO. That means they're genetically modified seeds that are not producing any of the nutrition that we need. And then on top of that, they have exposure to these pesticides. So a lot of the food that we eat is not nutritious and it's toxic. So putting that together, the vast majority of people, not just children on the spectrum or individuals on the spectrum, but the vast majority of people now have some form of inflammation in their gut. So that means when you eat, you get bloated or you just don't feel very good. A lot of people are now becoming gluten-free because gluten makes that worse. And so, as you know, a lot of people are on a lot of different types of diets because they're trying to feel better. So there is irritable bowel syndrome in many, many, many people. There's other types of GI issues. In some cases, it's a little bit more serious. People have celiac. Like there are chronic inflammatory diseases of the gut are happening. Now, why do we also see it in our children and in individuals on the spectrum? Well, the other side of what we know about autism is that the individuals, some, not every, but people with autism have a lower redox cycle. That means they are eliminating toxins a little bit slower than healthy people. So if you have a lower redox cycle, and that's a genetic thing, right? If you have a lower redox, just like high cholesterol is a genetic thing. So if you have low redox cycle and you are exposed to these toxins and our pesticides, yes, you're going to react stronger. You're going to be more susceptible to these pesticides. Whereas some other people could, for instance, eat the same food and nothing would happen, right? So we're all different. We all have different things going. But yes, I see a very high correlation now with people who are autistic and with irritable bowel types of issues. And it's very concerning. And I'm glad you asked the question, because often people forget that it's a whole different thing. Like when you have, in other words, I've had patients where the parents told me that the child has 10 times a day they have diarrhea. Because that's very, very concerning. But because the parents are so concerned with all the other symptoms of autism, doctors tend to say something like, oh, that's just part of the autism. And the autism symptoms tend to overshadow these GI symptoms, which are extremely disturbing, definitely causing the children a lot of pain or discomfort. It's probably interfering with sleep, all those types of things. So when you see those things with your kids, focus on them, take care of them, try to get your child on an organic diet if you can, because organic foods are supposed to not have these pesticides. They have other issues, but at least it's better. And you should be able to see some change in your child.
And the fact is that we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the first study that showed that ADH-like symptoms had a correlation to how much pesticide was in children's urine. And there are specific reasons why. We've covered that endlessly before on the show, but lowering the pesticide load on your child's body can help with ADHD symptoms, as well as lowering that, as Dr. Granpeesheh was saying, the artificial colors and flavors. There are other countries that don't allow the artificial colors and flavors that we allow here in the United States. So I think it's really worthwhile to clean up the diet.
Oh, it's tremendously important. It's probably the most important thing. In fact, like, I'm planning to do that for my entire family. This morning, I was looking at ways to grow vegetation in my backyard, because truthfully, we're getting to a point now where it's very, very difficult to get clean food, organic, non-chemical food. And it's kind of destroying us very slowly. I mean, there are so many bad statistics that I just recently read about, Shannon. Like, I don't know if our viewers are aware that something like, I think it's 1 in 4 men and 1 in 3 women have fertility issues now. And all of this goes back to those pesticides and GMO foods that we're consuming all day long. So it's very, very concerning.
Well, I can't wait to talk with you offline about the farm that you're going to start in your backyard. And I have lots of ideas. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.